Let's do
It
it.
don't matter. Yep, Trump's going to buy us all new boats, so it don't matter. He's making major moves anyway, so might as well add that to his list of accomplishments. Buying
Absolutely.
every male in the country a boat.
I like
That'll
it.
bring this country back.
He needs to buy that team a boat, man. Did you see that video?
What?
That white racing boat that
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
took off like a goddamn jet airplane.
Yeah, they said it went like 30 foot in the air, like it was.
Yeah,
gone.
he was
Really?
rolling 200 mile an hour.
And still won. Like he flipped across the finish line.
Shit.
That shit
I
was
never saw it.
crazy.
No.
When I first saw it the other day, I thought it was AI. I was
Right.
like, that ain't real. I mean, just because they look like toys,
Yeah.
They're going
They
so
do.
fast, and it just goes up in the air, and it's real soft the way it's spinning, but then it hits the water, and it just boom.
Boom.
And
Yeah.
it went up, and then it went upside down, and then took off again.
Yeah.
You know?
And they said the
Crazy.
driver and the passenger was fine. They were a little banged up, but
Yep.
I guess
Damn.
they're buckled in so good,
Yeah.
But I did see that. It was just funny because they like I said, they actually won the race, so we're all worked out.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, Trump's getting us all boats anyway. So
Hell
Boats.
yeah.
nope. But speaking of Trump, I seen everybody, kind of judging his first 100 days. We are at it today. The 100th day here from
100
him,
days.
taking office for his second term.
Right.
And I guess depending on which side of the aisle you're on, is you're either celebrating some of these milestones or you're hating them. If you listen to one side, it's been nothing but chaos and devastation, and the country's falling apart, and then you start actually reading things that he's got done, and it's like, oh, well, it don't seem too bad. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I mean, I know the first big thing they were touting was the border security and immigration enforcement, and how much he's done with that.
Right.
Because they were talking about, I think in December of 2024, they had over 47,000 people coming across that border, illegal border crossings.
Wow. Yeah.
Last year, in February of 2025, you only had 8,450. So from December to February, it dropped that much. Once Trump took office in January, from 47,000 to 8,400. That is huge, or huge, as our boy would say.
Huge.
I mean, and then
That is big.
just think
It's a
of the
big number.
people, the influx of people that were coming over this border that whole time that administration was in office.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking in 1 month, there was 47,000.
Dude, have you heard the number they're touting? It's like, and it doesn't matter, Fox News, whoever it might be, 10 million people. Dude, I don't believe, I think it's more, to be
10
honest.
million?
Yeah,
That's it?
that's what they're
Oh, yeah.
touting. Yeah, 10 million. It's like, even on talk shows, and it's like 10 million. I'm like,
Like during
no.
the Biden administration?
Yes.
Oh, that
I
was
think
like that shit. That was weekly.
yeah, I
My
think it's
God.
20 plus, dude, I
Yeah.
mean, and look, I think the whole administration now, man, look, they got some big tasks, dude, on their hands with the debt and then dealing with, because, dude, if we don't deal with debt, we're all screwed, man,
yeah,
deep
and-
down,
and that's
but
part of what these accomplishments as we go down the list.
Absolutely.
that's one of them we want to get to. But I know, staying with the border security right now, another things they did was mass arrest of criminal immigrants.
Absolutely.
Big difference. With criminal. Now they said they had over 460 illegal immigrants with criminal histories. I mean, this was sexual assault, robbery, drugs. They were arrested in a 33-hour period right after Trump took office. So damn near 500 of them within 33 hours, boom, off the streets.
right.
Another operation arrested a little bit over 500 individuals, including child predators, suspected terrorists.
Wow.
And the bad part is the other side will still sit there and try to justify why we just need to leave these borders wide open and allow.
Dude, I was just getting ready to say, we ought to be judging the Democrats on their first 100 days, not worried about what yeah. Dude, just you got these liberal activist judges, you got people flying to Venezuela or wherever it is to meet with these prisoners, and it's, dude, you're here illegally. I mean, if you look at it, and it's like, dude, the Democrats, they don't give a shit about their constituents. You can see it. You can see every day what they're doing, and it's just it's bullshit. It really is.
Yep. With the border crossing numbers, I've always wondered because you hear them, they're like, okay, so Border Patrol has came into contact with so and so number of individuals crossing the border, right? And one president they'll be high, one administration will be low, da da da. So it's like, are there more or less crossing, or are they, finding more or less? You know what I mean? Because I see the argument both ways. They're like, oh, so going back to like Trump's first term, they're like, Border Patrol was encountering, just say, 100 individuals a day, right, at the border. And then come to Biden's term, they're like, oh, the Border Patrol is encountering 4,000 individuals a day or whatever it is. And the argument was like basically that Biden's Border Patrol was doing their job, and that's why they were encountering these individuals, and Trump's Border Patrol was not doing their job. So not that there weren't individuals, like less individuals crossing during Trump's term, but basically they were crossing and just not being encountered is the argument that I've seen.
I know, and it's such a weird argument because you would think if
absolutely.
anybody was slacking on the encounters, it would be the side that wants them to come pouring over the border.
Yeah. And you know what they're not reporting? Self-deportations.
Yeah.
Those numbers are up there. I don't have them in front of me right now, but I mean, they are. People are saying, if I get caught, I'd never have a shot to come here. But
so you're talking about people that are like just for their own.
they're just like packing bags and putting a stick with the blue or red bag and they walking back. But yeah.
Well, I want to say he was another one with the immigration stuff is that he signed orders targeting them sanctuary cities, which needed to be done.
Absolutely.
Because all they were doing, was harboring criminals.
Yes.
And I'm not saying every, immigrant that comes over here that like they're criminals, but I mean,
No.
If
the
they come
ones
over
that
illegally, they are.
Well, I know, in that aspect, that's always a point people make. But I mean, like people that have, violent criminals, gang members, even they were having protection in sanctuary cities, and that shouldn't be the case.
Right.
I mean, it enhances public safety when you decide to say, hey, we're going to cut back on some of that shit. Y'all just housing these people and not vetting who the hell they are. I mean,
well, wasn't that one that was just in the news, big news story? Was he not in court for like rape or some other shit, like domestic violence and this and that?
Was that the Colorado dad or the what?
That was the one that the judge was trying to hide and wound up getting arrested for.
Oh,
I heard,
yeah, I did hear they had. I forget what the charges are, or the what they were
harboring.
Yeah, I mean, in the actual person they were harboring, but yeah, supposedly it was it was a criminal with a
yeah,
rap sheet.
He was like I'm like 99.9% sure one of the two charges was a domestic violence charge, and one was something a little bit more serious. But and she was like, "Hey, y'all sneak out the back door. I'll distract them."
See how you're so far, with your ideology that it's, you protect people like that. That's so weird.
Exactly, dude. Think of it like this, man. These judges sat here on these benches and whatever their positions are and let tens of millions of people come into this country and never did a damn thing. Yeah. It was never a question that I don't think this is right. And here they are. We're deporting them because they're here illegally and they broke the law. And we got these judges to stand up and be like, no, I think he needs this. And I think he needs. Well,
and then I see people like, trying to take shots at Trump, basically saying, oh, he's just out there running crazy. He's arresting judges. And it's like, well, when the judge, they're not above the law.
No,
not at all,
you
dude.
You can arrest a judge.
Absolutely.
It's not like they can go around killing people because they're a judge. So that's the first thing everybody asks is this idiot that'll be on X or some other platform bitching about him arresting judges is, hey, didn't the judge break the law? Well, they never answer that question. You know what I mean?
Right.
They gloss over that part, and it's just
absolutely
he's out there like Hitler just arresting judges and all for political reasons, which is exactly what they did to him. It was okay back then. They were trying to ruin his life, throw him in prison and everything else over politics. But now they start bitching because they think that's what he's doing when he's not actually doing it. I mean, the judge did something wrong, did something illegal.
Absolutely.
It's cut and dry.
And I wonder if like the victims in the case of this guy that we're talking about would have gotten proper justice, being that the judge over the case obviously saw him as a higher individual than the rest of the population because she's, hiding him from the judicial process of being deported. You know what I mean?
Yeah, was she the one that presided over his case when he was?
Yeah, he was in court. Like, he was actively in court for his charges when the ICE came and So she was in the main lobby yelling at
she's like,
ICE, telling them to go. She was like, "Go talk to these people over here." Like, it's the head of the court or whatever. She was like, "You need to go talk to them." So when they walked off to go talk to whoever she was pointing at, she went back in the courtroom and brought the illegal immigrant into her chambers in the back, and then showed him the exit door to the back.
No, I didn't know it was
and
that deep.
Told
That's
him
dirty.
and the lawyer to leave, and they walked out the back door, and she went back in the courtroom.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know it went that deep. I was just reading
Yeah.
headlines. I knew that she had, helped them and harbored them. I didn't know she was like, hey, look, they're here. You go out the back door.
Yep.
Yeah.
Holy shit. But see,
Yeah.
that lets you know how untouchable anybody on that side thinks they are because of
Oh,
the shit they
absolutely.
used to- because,
Yeah.
because all the
Abs-
nonsense they've been able to get away
100%.
with.
Yes,
Right.
100%.
It didn't even cross her mind that I might get in trouble for this because she knows in the past she would have never.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
It had
she
never
was-
been brought up. Absolutely.
No, she'd have been. They'd have probably held a parade for her back in the Biden administration.
Did you see the mugshot?
Of her?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I heard
Like the before and after of like
yeah,
her as a
but
judge.
it
and her
got
in a
community
mugshot?
noted on X, and it said
Did it?
that wasn't her crying in that mugshot.
Really?
Yeah. I saw it too. I wanted to believe it, and then it got community noted that was bullshit. That they didn't actually take the mugshot. I don't know, it was something that she didn't really go through all those steps like that.
Really?
As far as getting a mugshot, yeah. So that's what I had seen. So
Community notes are
just
awesome.
just fact checking, because I know
Yeah.
that's all what we're about here.
That's why I love community notes though, because it's like, oh, okay, cool. Because
Yeah.
I guess it had to be like some sort of AI or something if it wasn't really her.
Or it was
you know.
somebody else that looked,
Yeah, maybe.
enough
Could've
like
been.
her where somebody saw
Yep.
that, put it together, and then started spreading it on the
Because I was gonna say if it was
internet,
AI, it was really good AI because I mean it looked legit like her. Like they had the pictures side by side and it looked like her. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ain't no telling today, dude.
Well, what else our boy did? I think he's going to help make us all millionaires. Let's see. Secured major investments for the country. He said he secured over $1 trillion in private sector investments, including $500 billion for the largest AI infrastructure project involving SoftBank, Oracle, and OpenAI. Now, I mean, this is all money that he's bringing in to the country,
yep.
Absolutely.
and it's still not praised because the last thing they can do on that side is say, "Oh, well, that was good."
Isn't that
great."
true?
Instead of
100%.
running off, trillions, he's
Yes.
bringing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still crazy how they just can't. It just can't come out of their mouth that anything he does might be a good idea. Because you're not going
Yeah.
to hear this shit on CNN.
Well, I saw a headline today, just kind of scrolling. It was from, I don't know, one of the big news stations, MSNBC or some shit, that in Trump's first 100 days, he spent $280 million more than the previous administration in their first 100 days or something. And like I said, I didn't read it, but I was like,
I wonder on what.
Hey,
Because
just-
it's not even to say that that's not true, but there
Right.
there could also be facts behind that it would
Right.
make sense. I
Yep.
mean,
Yeah, what
that's the
about,
problem.
okay,
Well,
so
they
you
didn't
spent
say in the headline.
300 million, but how much have you cut?
Right.
100
Yeah,
million,
well,
200
There you go.
yeah,
I mean, hell, just with Doge alone.
right.
I mean, if he spent 200 and some odd million, who gives a shit? They stopped that with just one of those findings in Doge.
Yes. Yes.
I mean,
well,
I
they
don't
were
know
saying
But they're not
200 and-
reporting that, dude.
It was like 287 million or something. They were saying that it was 287 more than the previous administration had spent in their total 100 days.
Okay.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
And even if he did, he will not spend enough to match what was being dumped out of this country, as far as
dude.
our tax dollars with the shit that Elon uncovered. So
Right.
they can't even convince me that what he was doing with that money was bad after what they found.
Yeah.
Now I really wish I had the the facts on that to see what they're saying it was spent on.
Yeah.
I guarantee if it's anything positive, they're not going to say it in that article, I'm sure. But all they want you to know is the number. This is what he spent. It's like, okay, I didn't know he was so big on the crypto because they said he was issued an executive order to support cryptocurrency development.
Cool.
Hosting these crypto leaders at the White House.
Right.
So I mean, that's a
Oh, it was
that's,
billion.
Oh, it was billion.
Yeah.
You pulled it up.
I'm looking at it on MSN. It says, despite promises to cut spending during the campaign in his first few months in office, President Trump's federal government has spent about $220 billion more in his first 100 days compared to the same time period last year. The fact is that the government is now spending more day to day than was spent in 9 of the last 10 years. The exception was 2021 when the government was spending trillions, yada, yada.
Well, I don't know. I think he has suspended. I think with defense and border patrol and this and that, if you're really going to bring everything in and rein it in, it's going to cost money to do it, you know. But what are you saving on the back end, you know?
Well,
what are
that's
you
a
going to
good point.
save in 3 years from now? How is it going to be, you know?
Well, and it's a good point you just made about defense, because I know the last administration, I mean, the last thing they were doing was spending any money on defense.
No.
You know, if anything, they were cutting it. So I forget about that. So he comes back in, he builds up our defense again,
Yeah.
starts building up our border protection. And you said it, you nailed it. It's going to cost money, but
Yeah.
at least it's going to something you can see. And,
Right.
okay, this is what he did with it, not just some computer over there auto paying out, hundreds of millions of dollars for
True.
years to,
Yeah.
some foreign accounts. I mean, it's big difference there.
Yeah, I mean, dude, they're even talking
Well-
today. I heard a little bite out there where, he's filling the strategic supplies with oil, and it's like some of them were so in deficit low that they have actually caused problems to the pumping of these strategic supplies, and with that last administration, yeah, but that he's been doing that too. So how much of that money is he spending to
Well-
start restocking strategic supplies and,
So
ahead,
there
Jim.
are some graphs here. So direct payments to military and veterans, DoD military active duty pay has increased since last year. DoD military retirement has increased. Veterans Affairs benefits has increased, as well as retirement health costs for aging Americans. So Social Security benefit payments has increased. Medicare has increased, and Medicaid has increased. So,
Well, I mean, there you go.
I mean,
But and like I said, the biggest point I make out of anything he's spending is I guarantee you can track every dollar.
yeah.
yes.
And that was the problem
Right.
with what Doge was uncovering is, it took them forever to figure out where some of this money was going. And I'm sure they still don't know where all of it was going.
No.
Right.
I mean, there's a big difference, man. I mean, they're going to find anything they can to nitpick against Trump. But like I said, you can track
Absolutely.
every dollar that he's spending, and he has no problem with you looking. I mean,
Yep.
hell, it's all over the government, the White House's website. I mean, everything, because it's
Exactly.
public record.
Yep.
But
Well,
Brad,
how,
you
Yep.
go ahead.
Dude, I'll be right back, dude.
Go
All
ahead.
One
right.
sec.
Well, then, how sad are you that these, college kids and graduated college kids have to pay back their school loans?
I seen they hadn't started making them before now. They'd still been on like froze, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now
Well, I think they just kind of the
weren't
way
punishing you.
is that they were making them go to collections now. Like they were
Oh, yeah,
delinquent
yeah.
already, and I guess they would probably bother the shit out of you, but they weren't sending them to collections and hitting your
Yeah,
credit and
you know-
garnishing payments and shit.
It's always a tough one because you do, you take it out on your own. I mean, as an adult, you do you do that. You decide to sign the papers and take that money out. But the problem with that is that they sit there and convince you your whole high school, years that you're basically nothing if you don't go to college. And if you can't afford it, don't worry. The government's here. We're
Yeah,
going to
but-
give you a low interest loan, so don't worry about it. So then you sign this shit. As a naive, young person, I'm gonna call them a kid. I mean, I know they say when you're 18, you're an adult, but your brain still isn't what it is when you're 30, So then you sign these things, and now you go to college and realize, oh man, I fucked up. This it wasn't what I thought it was gonna be, or I picked the wrong, course, whatever reason, life, hits you, and then all of a sudden now you're looking at it like, why the fuck did I take that
Yeah,
big loan out?
but
Right.
I feel like that's with anything that you can finance when you're 18, though. It's like
That's true.
There's people that tell you everything's a great idea. No, go finance
But-
that fucking dilapidated ass
difference.
house. You can
Well, let me
take
tell
out
you-
loans
right.
and repair it.
Well, let me tell you the big difference, though, is that the school loans is the only thing you cannot claim bankruptcy on. So you're stuck with that for life.
Without
If you fuck-
extenuating circumstances, it says.
Right, but if you fuck up, when you're young and you just don't pay credit cards and shit, well, I mean, they'll just write that shit off eventually. You know, it ruins your credit.
Not even credit cards today as much as it used to be in the 90s and stuff where you could write all that up. Today, dude, you're going to be paying in a bankruptcy.
You will,
you know?
but even if you don't go bankrupt, you can still just not pay it. They can't do shit to you. But
no, exactly right. It's a hash mark against
the
you.
Government's
dude,
not going to leave you the fuck alone because from what I've heard is that they have people that their Social Security starts being docked because of student loans they didn't pay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. Not saying that they should be able to get out of it. You know, I mean, you did sign for a loan, just like any other loan, a car loan at 18. You're still responsible to pay it. I just think a lot of these kids are suckered into it.
Dude, they just don't know. I agree with you 100% because it's like not only do you get the student loan, but you're getting some grants maybe to live in the dorms or whatever you might be, you know, if you qualify. And then, you know what the first thing they want to do at these, when you're going into these colleges, dude, we're going to give you like an $800 credit card, you know, or $1,000 credit card, you know, go to this when you, so I see it, man, but I don't think they're educated about what they're doing. I really don't.
It starts at home, but not every child has that. Not every 16, 17-year-old that's going off to college can sit down with a parent that's financially smart and say, what are my options? So they rely on these vultures that are coming after them. You know, and that's the part I don't like about that. It's just like at every graduation place, you know, any ceremony or whatever, there's usually somebody running around trying to talk you into signing up for the fucking military at 18. They know you're about to get out of high school, so it's
high school too, man. They do it.
So why don't you come, you know, give us your body and your mind and let us own you for a little while. You know, they don't tell you all the cons to it. All they do is start telling you these bullshit pros. And you know, and that's not to knock anybody that wants to do it, but my point is they're vultures, just like the one sitting there saying, come to college.
It's the Rockefeller mindset, dude. You know?
I think the biggest thing that bothers me with what they do with the school loans is that they talk you into, as far as in your repayment plan, right? You can sign up and say, hey, you know, I want to go off of an income-based payment plan, right? Now, all that does is basically the bank says, all right, well, you can't pay $600 a month on this income, so we'll allow you to pay $200 a month without hitting your credit, right? But they don't tell you that $200 a month, even though that's what they're going to let you pay, isn't enough to cover half the interest, right? So you're paying $200 a month, and you think you're like, okay, I'm good. The bank says I can pay $200 a month. Whole time the loan's going up $200 a month, you know, every
You'll
month.
be paying on that for the next 30 years, dude.
And it'll be higher than when you started if you're on an income-based payment plan. Because I was always like, how did they write up a loan that everybody's bitching that they paid for 15 years and it's went up $60,000? I'm like, how does that happen? So I started looking into it. It's everybody that's on the income-based repayment plans, because it's meant to be like hey, you're out of school now, so you need to start paying us something. But we'll work with you until you can get in your field or get a better job to pay us what you're supposed to be paying. You know what I mean? It's not meant to be like you can sit on this for 30 years at a quarter of a payment, you know?
Well, you know, the problem is too, man, it's that people want to go to college and get their degree, and then it's like they talk you into saying, hey, you need a master's or maybe even PhD. It's a little bit further, but yeah, it's more time you can spend. And dude, they go and they spend these $100,000, $150,000 for this college experience, and dude, they're degreeing in or mastering or PhDing in something that might pay, you know, $50,000, dude. Or $40,000 a year, and it's like, okay, well, I ran up $250,000, you know,
right?
And
I feel
you're
like
hooked.
even with the degrees today aren't like they were, you know, years ago. Where there are probably certain job fields that look at the school you went to get the degree, but there's not many. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of jobs that you may need a degree for, but they're going to count your Delgado degree and your Harvard degree the same. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you went to school, you got a degree. So it's like you can save $50,000 a year and go to a community college for most of these degrees.
But they're not going to tell you that, you know?
Well, no. But you could also play football. And
then look, dude, if you're not going to college, honestly, in today's day, doctor, lawyer, psychiatrist, architect, engineer, you know, those kind of realms, dude, of degrees. If you're not going and spend a bunch of money, Dude, look, man, go to trade school. I think we need more trade schools, and and you can do very well for yourself and not rack up $200,000 in
Well,
debt.
Absolutely.
And at the
Yeah.
least, the government could give out no interest loans.
Absolutely.
What's
yeah.
up with the interest?
Right.
It's like, just give me a no interest loan, which I still think it puts these kids too far in debt. I mean, by the
Oh,
time
dude. Yeah.
by the
dude.
time they come out of college, they got a house note. Don't even have a fucking job yet. But
Yeah,
like
no money and go to law school. You know what I'm saying? Dude, it's 300 probably to maybe a half a million,
Yeah,
depending on where you
look,
go,
It's a
So,
decision they made, but I just think
Right.
a lot of them get sucked in because they don't
think they
have
do.
any. They don't have that angel on that shoulder. All they have is
Right.
that devil that's trying to suck them into signing this
Absolutely.
contract.
But like, I was young when I went to some college, you know what I mean? But I went for, it was a year and a half, almost 2 years I went, right? I went for as long as the government would give me grants to go. As soon as I had to pay for it, I was out. Like,
Done.
now,
Yeah.
if I do need to apply anywhere, I can put at least some college, not GED. I don't have to check the GED
Right.
box anymore, I can put some college, and it looks a little better. And the government paid me to go.
Right.
Every semester I would have like $4,000 left over from my grants because I went to Delgado, I bought used books. Cool. And then as soon as they wouldn't give it to me no more,
you're
Well,
under investigation.
Hey.
Yeah.
I spent it for college food and college gas. So
Can we do that
Absolutely.
still?
yeah,
Can
you
we
can
do
apply
that now?
for
I
fast
want to go
food
fill
shit.
out for some grants and just
Yeah.
Dude,
well.
they
once
still give
stop-
grants, dude. Yeah, absolutely. If you meet the criteria. And I think they should, honestly, dude. But that's a whole nother debate, when you look at like Harvard or Princeton or Yale or some of these other Ivy League colleges, and you look at their endowment, dude, it's like $200 billion. And it's still the government is subsidizing these colleges, dude.
Yeah.
To the tunes of tens of millions, and it's like, and the same thing with the oil, man, because you'll get debate on here, dude. People, what about the oil or what energy? Dude, I don't think they should be doing that either. I don't see why Shell and Texaco and all these companies need subsidies, Now, look, leases, that's one thing with the federal government, but anyway, that's a whole nother debate.
That's a whole.
It really is, dude. Yeah,
So-
I get it, dude, but yeah.
So what else did Big T do in his first 100 days?
Oh man, let's see. Well, if we went over to crypto, which, like I said, I didn't realize he was that big into that, supporting
Yeah.
that, which is kind of good. But no, I seen now some people, I guess, are going to look at this in a negative way, but he said he reduced the federal minimum wage for contractors from $17.75 to $13.30 per hour, which in return it cut costs for businesses. Now,
Right.
I guess that's okay if that trickles down.
But
to
is
the
that on
consumer.
federal contracts?
It's got, I guess so. Yeah, federal minimum
Yeah.
wage for contractors.
Federal minimum wage. So if you're doing a federal job, yeah.
So where does that money trickle down to, or does that company just get to make more money now because they get to pay their labor less?
Yeah.
how does that work?
That's
I mean, is
probably how it works. Because like we were just doing, we just did a job for it was kind of like a city funded type building. And
Right.
in the contracts that they sent us, we had to basically agree that we were paying people so much.
Right.
We had to agree that, so many people on the job site fell within this range,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, that was my thing when I saw that. I was like, well, is that actually benefiting anybody but the company?
Well, the government, because they can
Well,
say,
right,
hey,
the
you don't have to
government.
pay your people $17 anymore, so now
Yeah.
you
Right.
can charge us $13 an hour for
Yeah.
their work instead of,
Well, like I said, that was one of the things he accomplished. Then we got into the whole Doge thing, which we've talked about that, to exhaustion. So we all know
Right.
what he found there. But what I did like, the merit-based hiring, which he cut out a lot of that DEI shit, in
Yeah.
federal hiring.
Absolutely.
It basically emphasizes
It should
merit.
be. Yes.
Reinstating probationary periods to remove underperforming federal employees. Like, what's wrong with that?
right.
Because before
Right.
these people would get these jobs, and whether they were doing a decent job or not, they still had the
Yeah.
job. Makes
Yeah.
no sense. You can't do that anywhere else you go.
No.
But you can do it in the government.
Yeah.
And it was all because of the DEI.
Yeah.
The last thing they can do is they hire people based on race and gender. Well, then
Yes.
the last thing you can do is fire somebody because of that. You
Yeah.
know? So
It's
you're
true.
you're stuck now. Once you get into that, and you go down that rabbit hole, now you're lost in it and you're stuck.
Right.
So that was
Yeah,
good.
which-
Total waste of money.
In that
Yes.
same contract I was talking about, one of the stipulations was that like 30% of the employees on the job site had to be from an under-impoverished community and demographic. In order
Yeah, the
to
city, like
qualify to
those,
be on the
yeah,
job.
those major cities, they'll tell you, like, I think some of that could be the downfall of some of these casinos and theme parks that these major cities try to open up. And it's like, okay, well, 80% of your workforce has to come from the city in which you're opening up this event or whatever. And it's like, God, is the pool that big, not to bring people from the outside, So.
Yeah,
Because that was a big date. That was a big debate being a New Orleans cop back in the day. You had to live in the city to work for the city,
Well, that was just a contract to be a contractor on the job of the building that we were building. Was
Wow.
that 30% of the people that we used for that job had to be from basically an underrepresented demographic
Wow.
within the city. So
Fuck them city contracts.
So-
You know
Fuck
what that
them
means,
city
but-
contracts. Yeah.
So how did they decide to underrepresented? I mean, I guess they have numbers on that.
yeah,
saying
they
that
just wanted
this-
minorities.
But right, that's that.
Basically.
Well, we know that's what that means, but I was just
Yeah.
curious how they came up with these numbers.
Well,
Especially in a-
you had to send in your employees' tax returns,
I gotcha.
basically what they made, and then they had to fill out a form saying what their household income was, how many people were in the house. Like it, I'm like,
Okay.
what the fuck? Like just let us work. Like what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, because for one, all that does is you run the risk of hiring people that are less qualified now.
Exactly.
Which is
Yeah.
all that DEI does. No matter what way they try to enforce it,
Right.
it always goes back to now you're hiring people based on the wrong, reasons. And I don't know how any company wants to be a part of that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're forced. Sometimes your hands tied, and you have to.
Absolutely.
'Cause for one, no company wants to say we don't believe in diversity, equity, inclusion.
Right.
Because they're slick with these titles that they give these these things, just like they did with the Black Lives Matter shit. Well, nobody wants to run around saying Black lives don't matter, so
Right.
you couldn't argue with that either without looking like a blatant racist or a bigot. And that's kind of how they did with the DEI shit. Nobody wanted to
Right.
speak out against it.
Yeah.
But it's never a good idea to hire people based on, what they look like or their gender or what they identify as. That's so fucking
Right.
foolish. But we went down that path for a long time, man.
Even
And
in
they
this
still do,
case-
these corporations.
Yeah,
they still
they
do.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even
know?
in this case where it was, talking about household incomes and shit like that, and it's like, wouldn't that kind of make a company want to pay those employees less? Because like, all right, so 30-40% of the people you have on this job have to have a household income of under a certain number, depending on how many people live in the house. Say it's 5 people are in their house, their income for the household has to be under $90,000, right? So it's like, well, I pay all my employees more than that, right? So now I have to pick employees that I can pay less money to get them to qualify to be on this job site,
It's a debacle, dude. It really
So
is.
it's like,
When
why
you're
do you
looking
want me to
at
pay 'em
government
less?
agencies and the intertwining of this needs to be this, dude, I just say, what, screw all them kind of jobs, man. Look, people need to do it and make money. People make money with it, but to put up with all that bullshit, dude, nah, I'm good,
We just did the
great.
job and never signed anything and then ignored them after we got paid. So
Absolutely. It's the way to do it.
I know. Speaking of jobs, they said he gutted over 100,000 federal jobs,
Good.
including a third of the IRS staff.
Nah, they need like 3/4 of all these jobs.
They need to
Gone.
cut- yeah,
Cut it
a
all,
third.
dude.
They need to cut the other 2/3.
Dude, it's not just federal, man. I mean, even if you look in your state governments and you look into your local governments, dude, just where we live at, our government is the biggest employer in our parish, when you look at it like that. And it's just, God, it's so
Well, I think
overweight,
the
man.
government in
you know?
general is the biggest employer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just the American government. I mean,
Yeah, it's insane, dude. It's just way too much money,
Well, I know what pissed off a lot of these lazy bastards was when he ordered all them federal workers back in person work. I mean, that was basically trying to
Yeah.
increase the accountability and the
Sure.
efficiency. I mean, some people are going to be responsible at home, but let's face it, most people aren't. especially when you're allowed to do it for long periods of time. You get more comfortable and more.
I wouldn't be. I wouldn't comply. I'd be whatever I got to do, man.
Well, yeah, you do the least amount as possible just to get.
I'm going
by.
fishing today, dude. Yeah, I'll bring the computer with me, dude.
Damn right. Get you a little green screen that hooks onto your back, and you look like
absolutely,
you're in the office.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you? The temptation's there, you know.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
it's crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, he's done a ton of shit, man. A big one was pardoning those J6, defendants. That's another thing
Absolutely.
he did in his
That's a
first
good one.
100 days. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that was a good one.
dude, they're always going to be against him. No matter what he does. Yeah, dude. No matter what he does, bro, he's gonna. These people, that side is going to be against him, no matter what. He's done screwed up their slush funds, and look, honestly, I think it gets a little worse before it gets better. But I'm cool with it. I'm cool. I'm gonna ride it out.
Oh,
See
yeah.
what, you have no
doubt.
choice.
Well, especially now. I mean, you got all that shit going on with them tariffs. I mean, that's another thing that was directed or done by Trump. Which some people look at that like it's not all good, but
yeah, it's affecting my industry for sure, man.
Yeah.
Just with price increase, I've had 2 this year, and dude, it's out the box, man. It really is. But you know what?
Are you
we'll
gonna
deal
do
with
like Amazon?
I was just about to bring that up too.
Oh,
the Amazon shit. They what were they supposed to be doing, or at least the rumor was.
They're gonna so like when you go to Amazon and you're buying stuff, it's gonna tell you how much it would have been before the tariffs and how much extra you're paying because of the tariffs. Like it's gonna list it on.
They said, of course, Amazon now is denying that.
Oh, are they?
But it was after their stock fucking plummeted when that.
Oh, it
news
did
broke.
too.
It plummeted, and then Trump got on the phone with Bezos, and then all of a sudden now that shit they were like, no, we're not doing that. Where'd you get that
bro,
from?
What the fuck?
Yeah, but they did.
Oh,
say
you talk about politically motivated, huh, dude?
Yeah.
And it's another shot against this administration. I'm not going to say Trump; it's the administration. It's just another shot against the administration, just to, try and show like he's a piece of shit. It's not going good. He's running this country in the ground, and you're always going to have those believers. That's what's happening.
I think it was a way for also Amazon to. They're a business, so they're looking for a way to justify price increase.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, look, it's not us. We can't help it. It's a
do
tariff.
dude,
So,
look, yeah.
so we're going to break it down and let you know which items and how much they're effective, which, I mean, from a business standpoint, I guess it's like, look, the product
Here it
goes
is.
up, here's why.
Yeah.
But for some reason, that freaked out these fucking investors, man, and they just started dumping Amazon.
I bet they did.
And all of a sudden it changes, and they claim that was never on the table.
Right.
We don't know where that came from, So it's like whatever. So they're not going to do it now, which is. And look, I think all this tariff shit's going to work out because every day I'm seeing something new about how the negotiations are just getting better and better.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's China's taking tariffs off of this, and Trump is taking certain tariffs off of these products, and I mean, it's all going to work out in the end, man. People just need to calm down
and look,
sometimes and realize it's
this
all
administration
negotiating.
this administration is not trying to screw. We're just trying to make it an even playing field. Dude, you're charging me 100%. Guess what? I'm charging you 100%. I just, that's what we want to work out. And when you look at deficits and all that crap, dude,
no doubt. And if the other side would ever just once give him the benefit of the doubt and maybe realize that it's a game he's playing with these people. He is a master at negotiating. It's what he's done
his whole life.
It's what he grew up watching. It's what he's done his entire adult life. To think that he doesn't know what he's doing, you're out of your mind.
Right.
So if they would just calm down every now and then and say, okay, well, he's got to have some kind of tactic to this that's going to benefit us. Let's just see how this plays out for a minute without getting online and bitching about it every 30 seconds,
I'm in agreement. Yeah, let's give it. Look, I'm not saying it's going to be pretty. I'm not going to say it's going to be great and everything's going to be, snap your fingers, which the American people have such a short-term memory, dude, because it's like you sit back and they're out there, man. People, Trump, deport, blah, blah, blah. Now it's kind of in a rough patch. Markets taking a good correction. Look, man, I think real estate might take a good correction, but dude, I say a couple of years if he can hold together, but I think he needs to get done before the midterms because if shit ain't good and it ain't dude, and dude, if you get Democrat control again in the House or the Senate, dude, everything, he becomes just pretty much like a lame duck, dude. He's not going to be able to get anything done.
Yeah. And, you made a good point about the midterms because if products, the price of products are up in the country come that time, well, that's all the Democrats are going to run on. on.
Dude, like we've always said, Shane, you start fucking with people's money, it's an issue, and it's going to be the same. It's not just Democratic; it's the same with Republicans, man.
Yeah,
You start messing with.
For one, it gives the other side something to really go with now.
Absolutely,
and something you can't deny, because if you go to the grocery store and things are 5 times higher than they were,
right?
Well, you can't.
That's an issue.
You can't deny that when the Democrats say it. It's like, well, yes, they are.
100%. Yeah.
But
and look, gas is down. I'm gonna be honest, which I buy enough gas for my business, but gas is down. I'm still paying, I think, a little too much, but yeah, it is. And eggs
it went down.
It did.
I don't pay much attention to it because I don't get as much as y'all get. I just stop every now and then and put a little gas in my truck. But I've heard people saying that the prices are starting to come down.
I feel like I fill up every fucking day.
Well, you're driving a little ways, your ass.
Yeah.
And you're in a goddamn sports car.
Stations.
I mean, you need to get. I told you, get a Subaru, right?
Yeah.
Get
a Subaru.
I'm going to buy a Yaris, dude.
A Yaris. God,
dude, get the Subaru. That's the in thing right now, man. You'll fit in.
Volvo was the thing back in the day, with all these soccer moms and all that shit out there,
it's
dude.
Subaru for some reason.
It's all
Like
Subaru Outlander.
they sent out this mass email to these leftists that you got to get a Subaru.
Yeah, exactly.
Subarus, their stocks ought to be out the fucking roof, man. It's crazy. But what else they said? Army recruiting surged. They said it's reached a 15-year high, which is good because for a while there, nobody had any kind of enthusiasm about joining any military branch because of how bad things were getting. And I seen a story today I was reading where apparently somebody got in some shit because they were turning Trump's pictures around. And on whatever military base or whatever they were on, they caught some girl, some woman that was doing it, a soldier over there.
Right.
And I'm thinking, you're signing up to basically fight for this country, and you just run around, and no matter who the president is, like you don't do that. You know? I mean,
when you sign, when you go with that oath and you sign up for your 4, 6, 8, whatever it is, dude, that's your commander in chief. It doesn't matter if it's a Democrat or Republic. You signed up for that, man. Accept it. If not, get the fuck out.
Right, and that's not to say you have to like everything he does, but to blatantly disrespect the commander in chief, you just don't do that. Well, she got caught. And I don't know if they letting her go or but it was something that happened. Basically, she's facing some consequences for doing that shit. Yeah, because she turned his picture around and somebody else's. Might have been the Secretary of Defense or somebody. She thought it was going to be funny, and she posted it online. Yeah, she posted it on her Instagram saying, this is better or some shit like that. So it's like stupid, they got so used to being blatant with that bullshit.
Right. She don't need to be in the military.
No, it's like but that's the type of people you had that were joining the last few years. Yeah. And that's why recruitment was down, because people weren't so gung-ho to want to fight for this nation when you have a government that wasn't doing shit for you.
No.
But now it looks like they're starting to kind of pick that up a little bit. People are being a little bit more patriotic, and it always happens when you have a pro-military president in there, because I'm going to be taken care of if I do join. To a certain extent now. I mean, these war hawks are always going to, I still think they're fucking over young kids by sending them, overseas to die and shit. But
it's true.
I mean, if you're going to be patriotic, the time you really see that is when Republicans in office,
Yep.
And it's happening right now, apparently. So
good, but absolutely.
So overall, I mean, I'd say it's been a positive. These 100 days.
I think so. It's 100 days, man. Yeah. It's 100 days. Let's keep rolling what he's doing, and I think, in another 365 days, and another 600 days, I think it'll be getting better. I really do.
Oh yeah. It will.
I'm a little concerned on the financial sides of things, dude. I just, you're cutting this, you're cutting that, you're doing this, you're doing that, and I don't know. You look at the value of the dollar, and I might be going off topic here, dude. But
no, because I was actually going to ask you if there's any negatives you can point towards right now.
You look at the value of the dollar's dropped about 9% since January. So gold and silver, you look at the prices, they're out the box. That tells you something that people are nervous. The markets. Justin and I talk about buy this, buy that, and you gave me a couple of good picks, brother, but I didn't capitalize on it. So, but they're out there, man. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think as we continue to go, there's going to be, ultimately, I think interest rates need to be cut. You know, I think that would help stimulate a little bit, but they're not going to do it, man. There's a reason behind it. I'm not an economist, you know, I'm just giving you my opinion, but I can see if real estate, you know, we know people in real estate, and, you know, you go down 30%, 40%. It could be a bad thing, you know, so.
Yeah.
Or a good time to buy.
Or a good time to buy. Yeah, if you got power to dry, dude, yeah, absolutely, dude.
I do know it might have been the last time we were on here, or I don't know, time before, but we were talking about the income tax that Trump was talking about getting rid of for quote unquote, people that weren't.
Yes.
Yeah, for the poor folk, I guess. But I never saw the number he was talking about, and apparently it came out, and he's saying anybody under 200K.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's good because that's probably a huge portion of the country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that'll help a lot. He's claiming it can be done, like with these tariffs, you know, that anybody making 200K or less. Now, I don't know if he means as a couple or, you know, I don't know how that's going to break down yet. But, I mean, 200K, there's a lot of households in this country that don't bring that in.
Nope.
You know?
I agree. Yep.
So, I mean, it's like.
I also wonder if it'll be set up kind of how the tax brackets are now, where anything up to like right now, I think it's up to 10K is untaxable income. You know, so I wonder if he'll make it like up to 200K is untaxable, and then you start getting taxed after that. You know?
I'm not sure. We should call him.
I think we will. I'll reach out.
If, like, as a household, you bring in like 204,000 for the year.
Dude, it is what it is. That's a number, dude. Yeah.
Like slammed.
Well, you could, dude. Yeah, absolutely. But you know, you look at it, it's like, you know, and you're talking small dollars, but I see what I pay my people, and we pay them well. But you would think if you just took and said, dude, no more FICA tax, you know, and look, out of most checks, a couple $100, $250, what, dude, you throw that in somebody's family every week more. Dude, you're changing dynamics there, man, for people, dude. You know, you're helping people on even on a low average like that with paychecks. But yeah, can you imagine, dude, 200K not paying no tax? Dude, everybody. That would be a huge stimulus, dude. You know.
Oh, yeah. No, it would. It would.
Well,
all
Patty,
right.
she's not happy, but yeah.
Who's not happy? Somebody's
Patty,
not happy? What's Patty saying? Pro-military president. What the F? Rump in his bone spurs. See, this is
so studio.
It's just funny because when the name calling comes out, I don't even pay it much attention. It's like, that's fine. Just, tell me what you really. I'm trying to see what they're even saying here. Couldn't handle real patriotism or service. If Rump had been my commander in chief, what? Anyway, to say that he, compared to the other side,
right,
he's not more pro-military. I mean, I don't know how you can even say that, but I ain't gonna get in that back and forth with that. But
that's a back and forth right there. Yeah. Can't handle real patriotism or service. Okay, Obama, Clinton, none sir.
And look, Patty S. may really feel that way. Some people get on here just to troll because no matter what, they're going to say something negative. But
absolutely,
that's her opinion. That's her right. We appreciate you checking it out and commenting, but I just don't agree with it. But
just like and share for us if you could. That would be cool.
Yep. Now,
kind of staying to come call us idiots.
Kind of staying on the sort of government talk. I was reading a story about a couple that is suing the FBI for raiding their home, and it was the wrong home, which we've spoke about before on here about law enforcement doing that.
Yep.
Never really saw anything come of it as far as lawsuits because they've had laws on the books that were making it where they were basically untouchable when it came to trying to have any kind of course of action against law enforcement that does that to you. Now this couple's taking it to the Supreme Court, and I don't know. I mean, do y'all think it's appropriate if law enforcement, basically kicks your door in the middle of the night and it's the wrong home, which happens?
Yeah.
Do you think someone should be held accountable, or do you think
think so.
Yeah,
I'd be a little pissed, dude, if I was.
Vacation?
That was what?
That was on vacation when they raided her house?
No, they were home.
Yeah, I'd be a little pissed, dude, if I was sleeping or if I was just watching, whatever movie I was watching. Dude,
Yeah.
they just bust through your house, dude, handcuff you, fuck up your whole afternoon, dude. Yeah, I'd be a
Yeah,
little
well,
pissed, dude. I'd be like, yeah, dude, you owe me something for your fuck up, dude. Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
this was in Atlanta, and it said they were woken up by the barrage of a half a dozen men smashing through the front door. The clamor jolted her drowsy partner, who was lying on the bed. He jumped to his feet. Excuse me. She scrambled to protect her 7-year-old son, which is one thing you're freaking out about because you don't know who these people are and you have kids in the house.
Right.
Next thing you know, flashbangs are going off.
Wow.
Yeah, and then come to find out, it was the wrong house. It was a.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be some drug, person or whatever that they had some kind of warrant for, and
I'd be pissed.
yeah. So it's like what they've done this over and over, and I get it, man. Nobody's perfect, but I just think to have no accountability with that because it's such a dangerous game they're playing.
Yeah.
For both law enforcement and the people in the house.
Oh, dude, without a doubt,
On
man.
top of that, like, I know if like you get pulled over and they search your car, right? If even if they don't find anything, they're not liable to replace anything that they tore up in your car.
Nothing.
Right?
Yeah, they
rip
just
the whole
destroy
fucking
your
center
shit.
console out the car, and they have no liability to replace it. Is it the same way with houses? If they kick your fucking door off the
Yes,
hinges,
they don't have to do
They have
shit.
zero liability to replace
Wow.
it. Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, it's saying, Justice Department lawyers, they're arguing that basically the FBI agents are immune from lawsuit because
Right.
regardless of whether they erred about the address or they were wrong, the search was part of their official duty. So basically, because they were doing their job,
Right.
they shouldn't be held accountable. But I would be at any job I'm doing. You know what I mean?
If I'm contracted to demo a house and I go to the wrong address and tear a
Right.
whole fucking house
Rip
down,
out the
I'm liable.
rip out the whole. Yeah, absolutely.
you imagine
dude.
coming home from work and your whole fucking house is just
The
like,
house
whoa,
is
whoa,
gone.
what's
It's just a slab.
You've heard those, huh, dude? Like,
Oh,
like
yeah.
they'll go there and it's like, yeah, we're supposed to go to 168, not 186, and go rip the house down, and you come home and it's like, hey, wait, dude, my house is. Yeah, can you imagine, dude?
Dude.
Well, I know.
Yeah, no, they should not be immune to that bullshit, dude. And dude, you would think in today's day that the optics and then the details would be there that this is the house, this isn't the house. Yeah, and look, I understand it's human error, shit happens, but yeah,
Well-
should they be liable? Absolutely, dude. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, apparently there was a law that was made decades ago that made law enforcement authorities and all untouchable, especially federal
Right.
ones, when it came to this. Well, in 1974, they amended that, saying that it came basically after the two wrong houses were raided in southern
Yes.
Illinois in 1 year. I mean, within a matter
Wow.
of, I want to say it was within the same hour or something, So they changed that, basically saying that it removed the immunity from lawsuits for assault, battery,
Gotcha.
false imprisonment, false arrest, all of that good stuff. But they were saying that basically, let me see why they did that, because it was right here, woke to the noise. Because it's crazy how they kind of worded it, which holds federal law supreme. Okay. Court decisions dismissing the Atlanta case focused on the Constitution's supremacy clause, which holds the federal law is supreme above state law. The family sued in federal court where judges ruled that even though one portion of the law allowed a lawsuit against a federal law enforcement, another portion of the statute prevents such lawsuits because of the discretion granted law enforcement officers. So
Wow.
it doesn't make a lot of sense because
No.
it's like, are you above the law or are you not?
Right.
It's saying
Right.
that they changed the law, saying that now you can sue them, but it's also saying you can't because
Right.
they're granted discretion, because
Yeah,
they're
some
law.
type
And
of
it's like,
immunity. Yes.
it's like such a weird law, and I'm thinking it shouldn't even be a law because if anybody fucks up that bad, just like y'all were talking about with demo in the wrong house,
Right.
I mean, you don't just get off of that. So why does
No.
law enforcement? They're human too. Why do they get a break on this?
I
Somebody
agree.
planned this.
Yep.
Whether it be the actual officers, but somebody okayed these
Yes.
raids.
Yeah, I mean, dude, with technology today, with drones, and I mean, Jesus, dude. Yeah, and you're picking the wrong house. Come
Yeah.
on, dude. Yeah,
Well,
I
they're
get
probably
it. Dude.
fighting an uphill battle, but we'll see. I don't know. It's making a lot of noise. It was USA Today was writing up an article on it and all. So
I saw another one probably 2-3 months ago that a lady was on vacation and got a Ring doorbell alert. And when she checks it, it's DEA kicking her front door in. And
Bring them on. Yeah.
she sees them walking out the house with boxes of evidence and shit. And by the time vacation was over and she got home, it was like a week later. And it wound up being the wrong house. So she kind of, got most of her shit back. Well, she had a brand new MacBook on her nightstand. Charger still plugged into the wall. MacBook's gone. Police say they don't have it. They never saw it, didn't touch it, have no clue where it went. The lady still hasn't gotten her MacBook back. So
Damn.
her door gets kicked in, shit gets rummaged through while she's on vacation, wrong house, and now her shit's missing.
Wow. Well, and speaking of door kick in, I want to, I guess, correct something that we said earlier. I don't think they can kick your door in on the wrong house and then they're not held responsible to fix it. Now, there may not be no legal ramifications on that, but like in this situation here, they said the agent saw that the suspect didn't have face and neck tattoos like the one they were looking for. So they noticed a piece of mail with a different address from the search warrant. So they asked the guy, what is this address here? And when he told it, he said all of a sudden they went from like a drill sergeant situation to them being really quiet. They started uncuffing him and apologizing. And then they gave him a business card because he was asking, basically talking about all the damage you did to my fucking house.
Yeah.
Right.
So they said they documented the damage. They left a business card with, the name of his supervisor. So the city or whoever, the feds, may be responsible to at least fix your shit. But it doesn't fix the fact that they startled your entire family in the middle of the night, scared the fuck out of you, could have led to a very dangerous, if not deadly situation.
Yeah, the mental anguish of it, dude.
Of course, for children especially.
Oh, dude.
Now that you say that, the lady that was on vacation said the same thing. They had left a business card on the door, and she called, and they were like, look, we documented the damage, da-da-da, so basically give us a couple weeks to go through, and we'll pay you out on the damage. And she said it's been like tracking down anybody at the government to get paid.
Yeah.
So she's had to come out of pocket to fix everything, and weeks later, months later, she still hasn't received a dime for any of this.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I don't think it's an easy process. I think you have to be the squeaky wheel, if you want to get the oil for sure, because you're dealing with the government or even your state, local government. There's nothing's going to move fast, but that's the least they can do. But it ought to start, borderline criminal, because like I said, we're all pro law enforcement here, but they should be held accountable just like anybody else would when you make a mistake that drastic. Because we've heard stories time and time again where people die in situations like this, including law enforcement officers,
Sure.
I mean, if I got an AR next to my bed and you kick in my fucking door and I start shooting rounds, well, I could take one of you motherfuckers out, and it was all because of a mistake.
Yeah.
And that it shouldn't happen to anyone. So
Nope.
Yeah. Well, while we're talking about law enforcement and mistakes, Louisiana is actually in the process of passing a bill. Well, I say passing a bill. They're trying to change a law. So right now, if you get wrongly incarcerated in Louisiana and then you get found not guilty after you've been in prison for 10 years, right? Louisiana is apparently liable for up to $40,000 a year per,
Wow.
every year that you were wrongly incarcerated, right? So
Really?
they're trying to change the law right now that takes the liability away from the state of Louisiana and changes it to the local municipalities of wherever you had been, incarcerated at. So
whatever
if,
county you were in,
pretty much,
city.
whatever. Yeah. So the argument is that it's already a pain in the ass to get money from the state of Louisiana if you've been wrongly incarcerated, and by switching it to the parish's responsibility, which has a lot less money than the state of Louisiana does, it's just going to make it almost impossible to get any kind of money.
Of course. Because what do you do with a county? Which we say parish here in Louisiana, but what do you do with a county that's worse than ours? It'd be hard to get it out of ours, and we're a pretty decent our parish when it comes to that.
Absolutely.
So what do you do in something like Orleans Parish?
Right.
They're not giving you a fucking dime.
No, get in line.
Get in line. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
So true.
You kind of on the fence of that's probably not a good law to change, or
Well, I mean, are they getting compensated now?
Yeah.
Are they getting
Well,
their money now?
it's a fight. It's a fight.
Yeah.
Like a guy, he was talking. He got released. I think it was mid in the 20, like early 2020s, like early 2020s, 2020, 2021. Right, got released. Well, he just started getting payments last year, and had to hire a lawyer and go to court, and so.
And this was from being wrongly incarcerated?
Convicted. Yes.
Yeah, that right there, dude. The day they fucking let you out,
They ought
they
to
should
be
have
cutting you a
direct
check.
deposit into your exactly.
Absolutely,
That
dude.
right there is
Yeah.
bullshit because
Right.
I mean, not only did you fuck that person up for however long you had them in there as far as their life, now they have to basically start over if they were incarcerated for a while. Now, if you were just in jail for a night, I mean, it's like, okay, whatever. But some people sitting there for years, if not decades.
Decades,
And
right.
Yeah, you let these people out. I mean, what's the chances of them, being able to function and just pick up where they left off,
Yeah,
True.
and I think the man in question actually was in prison on rape charges. Got convicted of rape and did like time behind it, and then DNA proved him innocent. And it took him years to start getting money out of the state of Louisiana. So, like I said, in the state of Louisiana, they've got money, where some of these parishes do not at all.
Right.
So, changing it to basically Louisiana's like, we didn't convict them, they convicted them, not our problem. So, I think it's gonna ruin more lives of people that have already been, pretty fucked up in life.
So basically, like, say they were convicted in the courts over here in our local parish and slash county, for anybody listening that don't know what a parish is. But so they convict them here, but they get sent to Angola, which is the state pen. So basically, you're under state watch. But then if you get out, the state's like, we don't give a fuck where we were housing them. You're the ones who convicted them. Okay,
They're like,
it
was
makes
the
sense.
parish prosecutors that did
I mean, it
not
makes
us.
sense, but is that going to be any better for the people? Because, like I said, if you don't have if you don't live in a county or a parish with any kind of money, you're never going to see a dime, man.
Exactly.
Right.
And you should, like, from day one, you should be paid for every year you were locked up. Plus, they should give you some, because I mean, like I said, if you're in there long enough, the chances of you picking up and just functioning like a normal citizen is next to none. I mean, it's a tough thing to do when you're.
You go in your 30s and you do 20 years, and you're in your 50s.
And
Ah,
then
dude,
you
you're
get out
fucked.
and
You're
now
fucked, dude.
You've got a different mentality now.
You're
you
screwed,
gotta
dude.
adjust back to society, so you at least you get paid the time you were gone plus a few years into the future to get your shit back together if you can.
True.
I mean, it's bullshit. And some of them do. Some of them win big lawsuits, but the problem is it takes so fucking long
to get paid.
Yeah, so now you're doing what you can just to get by because they ruined your life. It may take you 7, 8, 9, 10 years to get any kind of compensation out of them. It's terrible.
Now, had this man went into prison, the one that was wrongfully convicted of rape, right? Had he have went into prison and got fucking stabbed the first week he was in there and died,
Right.
do you
Yeah,
think
you don't
the
even think
family
about that, but
should be, entitled to compensation the same that he would have gotten?
Well, I don't know. For one, they'd have probably never found out he was innocent,
Right.
But yeah, I see what you're saying. If they did, then should the state still be liable to pay the family the money that they missed from not having, a father or a mother or whoever was wrongly convicted contributing to the household financially?
It's true.
I think just as a punishment, because you can't stick the state in jail, but you can at least hit them son of a bitches,
where it hurts.
Money punishment. I mean, somebody has to pay.
Right.
Even if the family don't need it. It'll make the state a little more careful when they start writing these big ass checks that they don't want to be writing. I mean, it's bullshit.
Yeah, because you would think it would work its way down. Like the state would start looking at the prosecutors, like, "Hey, bitch,
of course,
you're
like, whoa,
fucking
wait a
costing
second
us
now.
money now."
Yeah,
Yes.
You cost us so many millions last year. You're right. So it would make everybody do their job a little bit better, because that's how you make people start really, doing some assessing, is when you start taking money from people.
Right.
And when you start doing it to the tunes of millions, it's just like you said, Justin, now the state's looking at the local people like, okay, what are y'all doing down there?
Right.
You know, what the fuck's going on? It just cost us this much money. Some shit's about to change, so.
Yep.
But like you said, the problem is the shit goes on for years and years, and these states or whoever's in charge of paying this money out, they fight it, tooth and nail, instead of just doing the right thing. I mean, you threw somebody in jail wrongfully.
falsely accused.
Yeah, the least you can do is give them some money. I mean, you can never give
Bare
them back
minimum.
those years.
No.
But yeah, the bare minimum. I mean, that's about all you can really do is try to help them get on with life and set them up financially where at least that's not a burden on them right now. And then maybe they can start to acclimate a little bit and then get back into the workforce.
Well, you say fair value, dude. So, all right, how should it be rated, though, man, if you're looking at it like that? So, for a guy, he's an engineer on top of his game, something happens, falsely accused, blah, 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 10 years in jail. Dude, he's making $200,000 a year.
That's true. Yeah.
Falsely accused. You know what I'm saying? So he gets out in 10 years. It's like, well, I mean, not the guy that was cutting grass that got falsely accused. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's like,
you don't just do like, minimum wage is going to have to
yeah,
work.
I mean, dude, $40,000 a year. Really, you destroyed this guy for 10 years that was making $200,000 a year.
I guess that's all you could do is take it a case by case and then whatever
Absolutely.
you were earning at that time. Even though
Right.
you're
What was your trade? What was your profession? Right,
But
exactly.
how much longer does that make the process? You know.
True.
Because it's
Yeah,
like,
them
what else
having
do you
to-
factor in? It's
Absolutely.
like, bro, I lost a $1.2 million house that I had. I
True.
lost, these
Absolutely.
3 cars that I had. My
Yep.
credit is a fucking 350
Or you have somebody
right now,
that
you know?
Or you have somebody that just started working in a field with the potential to make
Oh,
a
dude,
lot
that's
more
a
money.
whole nother debate, dude.
Yeah, so it would almost have to be a blanket amount
Yes.
to just make it easy.
Right.
And like you said, that's the least they could do. Is come up with a good wage, a livable wage, like they like to say.
Right.
And that way, that's one less thing these people have to worry about where they're trying to get back to normal life.
I think
Yep.
we need to take a livable wage and, I mean, damn near triple it and be like, here you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think they deserve it. Imagine somebody stealing 10 years of your life.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
10
yeah.
years in prison.
And
for
we know
something you
people.
know. Of course we do.
Yeah.
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 Well, sitting there
Yeah.
every day knowing you don't belong in here. And they
Right.
railroaded you. And it happened.
Yes.
It happened it's happened for decades now. I mean,
Yep.
how many, honestly, how many black men went to prison back in the day when they were just pinning
Sure.
crimes on them? It was easy to do
Yep.
back then.
That's
You
right.
know? Something happens in the South, guess who's getting blamed?
Yeah.
Not saying that it never, they were all innocent, but I'm sure it happened a lot.
It happened.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
It happened. Because, I mean, imagine, like, if you don't have insurance on your car, right? And you smoke somebody, fucking T-bone them at a red light, and they had the potential to make, $300,000-$400,000 a year. Well, when you're in court, their defense attorney's going to bring that up, and you're going to get fucking hit in
Yep.
court,
Yeah, no doubt.
So I think
No
the state
doubt.
should too.
Yeah, I'm, but just getting back to your question, I don't know if it's a good idea to turn that over to the local, because then it just all depends on what, where you live, on whether or not
Right.
they're going to have the money to give you. I think it should still be on a state level, and then the state needs to take it up with the local levels if it gets out of
Exactly.
hand. Like somebody needs to be fired, basically.
Yeah.
Whoever these attorneys are that are,
Prosecutors, whoever
Yeah,
it is, dude. Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. There should be some form of accountability because it happens, and even in the fact that, if it's the aspect of, it's a high profile case, and dude, then we need to solve this, dude, because it's out of control and,
and
people
they
are
do that.
And they, well, you did it, dude. No, I really didn't do it. No, well, you did it, dude. Yeah, the jury has convicted you. And, all right, so 15 years later, you're just a nobody, has-been story. And they come out and it's like, dude, I wasn't there. I told you that, dude.
Yeah,
So,
I think the only thing that saves some people from that nowadays is DNA, because you can prove
Absolutely.
your innocence with that.
Yeah.
But they would still, if they could, they'd stick it to you because it's all about
Yeah.
winning your case with a lot of these prosecutors. And
That's
it's
right.
Not to say they're all bad, but
Right.
it's not zero. The one, you know what I mean? There is bad ones out there. So there's
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
ones that are going to do anything they can to
just
put that
defense,
notch on
too,
the belt.
man. Defense
All-
attorneys.
all of them.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, well-
look at the OJ. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
my God. Yeah, So
Yeah.
it's a
I'm,
good debatable topic. It really is.
I would say
you know?
more prosecutors are pieces of shit than not.
It could be. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard to put it's hard to say that with 100% confidence because some of the people
Yeah.
that these defense
I look at 'em
attorneys
like-
defend.
Yes,
You know what
I
I
mean,
mean?
Yeah, but
pedos.
most
and,
of the
yeah.
prosecutors came from that life,
Yeah.
and they know it's a political game,
Well, it is because they're all trying to get up higher.
You got to get in there and you got to stay in
Yeah.
there and say, we convicted this many people this year.
'Cause
Your
you wanna
community's
sit around- you
safe
wanna-
or put me back in office.
right. You want to
Right.
brag about your conviction rate, whether it's right or wrong. That's
Exactly.
what you want to run on.
Right.
And it's like, Well, that
And
doesn't.
it's-
If you convicted 100 people and if 10 of them were not guilty, well, that's not good.
Right.
No.
As
not-
soon
you
as
know
you
what I mean?
set the game up like that, you create shady,
course.
shitty motherfuckers.
Of course,
You know?
yeah, and it
Yep.
has too, man. Because we watched it, with our buddy down here, a cop buddy. I was in court watching these dirty feds, these lawyers and all. They didn't give two fucks about a fact. They
Right.
just know we're getting them. All these
Right.
police officers, we're getting
Yeah.
it. We're gonna stick
'Cause
it
it's
to
gonna
them. Y'all are
look
going.
good on the
It's
news.
gonna look good
Because of the
Exactly.
optics, dude. Exactly right,
And it's
dude. Because of the
terrible to-
optics.
to
Yep.
play with somebody's life that way just
Yeah.
so you can sit around with the group or your little cronies and say, yeah, my conviction rate is 97%. Like,
Right.
yeah,
It's true.
you don't give a fuck if it's
Yeah.
okay or if it's justified. It's terrible, man. And look, prosecutors are needed. Somebody's
Yep.
got to take these assholes down.
Somebody's got to do it, dude. Yeah.
Right, but it's like Justin said, it breeds corruption the way that they're rewarded for this.
Yes.
For their conviction rates.
With no repercussions.
None.
None. Right.
Put some unless they really find you doing some malice shit. But if you just
Right.
convince the jury that they're guilty, and you didn't really technically do anything illegal, like you didn't plant evidence or anything like
Right.
that, but you're just so compelling that you convinced them, but you knew that this guy was probably not guilty. There's no repercussions at all.
Right.
It's like, oh well, we thought he was guilty. Oh well.
It's true.
Yeah, you got to be caught doing some real shady shit for them to come down on you.
Right.
Yeah.
Which most of them aren't. They're just very, like you said, it's compelling. They get up there, they give a good argument to the jury, and in their mind the whole time they're probably knowing that this person didn't do this, but whatever. I've got a job to do, and that's lock people up.
Yep.
I'm sure it's happened.
Just like, but the other side ain't no better, man. I see some of the people that these defense attorneys defend, and I'm like, I don't know how you sleep at night.
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
No.
Yeah. Exactly right, dude.
I'm watching a documentary now on Netflix about that shit, man. It's just, young boy that was basically tortured, 7 years old, I think, when he passed away. For 8 months, he was tortured by his freaking parents.
Right.
To the point they beat him to death. And they're not even arguing that they did it. They're
Right.
just trying to fight the first degree murder part of it. They're trying to get away with just
It's
murder.
crazy.
And there's
Yeah.
a defense attorney over there fighting for these people's lives.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I'm like, how the fuck? And he even said in the beginning, opening statements that, look, I'm not here to try to convince you that they didn't do these heinous acts.
Right.
I'm just here to
I'm
say
just-
that it wasn't premeditated. And I'm like, I don't give a
Right.
fuck if it was. They
Yeah.
beat this
Yeah.
kid to death over months.
It's true.
And you
Yeah.
got
Like,
some
I'm
person
joining the
that'll sit up
prosecution.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But you have somebody that will sit there and defend these people's lives instead of saying,
Yes.
yeah, whether you plan to do this or not, you tortured this kid enough to where he eventually died. You need to go.
Yes.
It's crazy, man.
I've had attorneys tell me in the past, man, that it's, I know he's guilty, but I'm just trying to save him from the death penalty.
Yeah, fuck that.
And hey, look, man, that's what they're getting paid to do,
It is,
and
but I
it
just
is,
don't
but
know
it's
how
We'd be
it's a
back in the
raunchy
chambers.
way, dude, to make a living. I mean,
Yeah. That way it is. Look, man, you need defense because we could all be accused of something we didn't do, and you need a
Right.
good defense. I get
Right.
that, but it's the ones like this case I'm talking about where they're not even denying that they killed this kid. They're
right,
just trying to say, well, we didn't mean to kill him. We were just beating
Just-
the fuck out of him all
right.
the time, but we didn't
Yeah.
think he was going to die.
Right.
So you defend that.
yeah.
And I'm like, come
And they know they're going to prison. Yes, they know
Oh,
they're
yeah,
going
yeah,
to
they're
prison,
going.
but they're
Yeah.
trying to save them from that first degree or possible
It's such a
execution or
shame.
whatever it is. It's just like, whew, dude, like you said, I don't know how you sleep at night,
I
dude.
don't either.
Even if it's not, because I could, I guess, see doing that for money. It's like, well, I know he's at least going to do 150 years in prison.
Oh, yeah, he's never
versus
getting out of
death
jail. Right,
But, like,
exactly.
the defense attorney for like Casey Anthony. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
the person that you just got proven innocent killed their child, stuffed them in a book bag or whatever, and
Yeah.
dumped them on the side of the road. Like,
He was banging her probably.
Just to play
you know?
devil's advocate, well, I'm sure he will. I think she admitted that. But devil's advocate, at least in that situation, your client is telling you I didn't do it.
Right.
And you may not believe them, but it's like, okay, well, tell me what's your side of it. With stories where they're admitting it, like, yeah, I did it. I didn't mean to kill him, but
Right.
yeah, we stomped on his fucking head
It
as much
happened,
as we
yeah,
could,
right.
burned him with
Right.
cigarettes, and fucking shot him with a BB gun to where they were finding BBs in this fucking baby's body. You know what I mean? And the whole time this kid lived like this for 8 fucking months, and then you got some disgusting defense lawyer that will sit there and try to get their life spared. You know, that's the Casey Anthony. We all kind of knew what she did, but nobody could prove it, you know?
Right.
Because she
It's
wasn't
so true.
admitting it. So
Right.
in that case, it's like, well, let me hear your side of it, and I guess we'll go to court with this,
Right.
you know?
But people know. You know?
Oh, yeah.
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 You
But
know.
anyway.
She's got that stigma she's got to roll around with, dude, you know? So,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've seen she's been back on TikTok lately, man. She got blasted, but she was.
yeah,
she
that's
was
what I
over
heard.
there.
Yeah, I heard.
Anyway,
It's crazy.
what were you saying, son? So what?
Well, there's a couple things. One, Canada is apparently still liberal.
Yeah,
They
it's
just
like
elected their prime minister.
that was like worse than Trudeau.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you
You
doing?
gotta love these fuckers, man.
How does
dude.
that happen?
I don't know, dude. I just don't get it. It's like, okay, you done fuck me for all these years, and then it's like,
Yeah.
well, let's maybe he'll be a little bit better, maybe a little bit easier, dude. Yeah,
It's so
I just
confusing
I don't
how
get
that
it,
many
dude.
people
Yeah.
don't want to change when in a place like that. You know, you figured it would at
Yeah.
least, okay, let's swing that pendulum back this way, and then maybe a few years it'll go back.
Right.
But it went from here to here. You know,
Yeah.
it's like what are we doing?
Ideology is strong, dude.
crazy.
It really is, dude. You know, and look, man, we can say it if you're right leaning or Republican, and you know, I just and look, politics. I take it as just this grain of salt, and I have my beliefs. I believe in capitalism. I believe in freedom, and you know, and you sit back and you look at it, and it's like, God, these people that just support all this wokeness and this and that. I'm willing to give up 65% of what I own and make for taxes, and it's for the betterment of the government because they're going to protect me. Womb to tomb, you know what I'm saying, dude?
Yeah,
And it's just, I just don't get it, man.
I
you
mean,
know?
I've never been to Canada, but from what I understand, it's doing that place no good. Living under the
Not
laws
at
that
all.
they were living
Yeah.
under. I mean,
And they'll preach that shit that, you know, high school's free and, you know, college
Yeah,
is free and
healthcare's
healthcare is
free.
free. And dude, I mean, look at the stats, dude. It's out there. I don't have it in front of me, but you look at the stats. How many Canadians come to the United States for surgeries every year?
Well,
you know,
because they
yeah.
Right.
they'll
The
say,
money
I've
makers,
seen
the money makers in
multiple-
Canada. You know,
I've seen multiple videos where people say you are waiting to die in Canada.
Absolutely,
if
dude.
you have
Yeah.
anything wrong with, like a lady was talking about, she went to the doctor and they wound up finding, you know, something that looked odd on the x-ray on her brain.
Right.
So she had to set up an appointment with a specialist, and the specialist was booked 18 months out.
sure.
You know, so it's like
Yeah.
it's free, but you may die of brain cancer before you get in
exactly.
here.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's no different if you look at our level in this country. Our healthcare sucks, dude. And you can thank Obama for that, dude. With this Obamacare, Affordable Care Act, whatever you want to call it, you know, you can sugarcoat however you want. Healthcare wasn't that bad until he got in office. And John McCain with the thumbs down, you know, God rest his soul. But yeah, I hope he's in hell. But anyway, yeah, I'm just trying to.
Brad.
I'm just trying to say, you know, even here in this country, that you can look at your local municipalities that you go to and go to like the local one here in the city of New Orleans, say Charity Hospital. Dude, you got a broken leg? Dude, you might sit for 2 days, dude, to get that fixed. You know what I'm saying? You know, and look, if it's heart or you're bleeding, dude, they're going to rush in and take care of you for the most part. But yeah, our healthcare sucks, dude. And it's just
really
anything
does.
the
It's-
government touches, it goes to shit, dude.
Yeah,
It
the
really
healthcare
does.
system, it's,
you know?
it's a disgusting joke in this country. For one, it's expensive as fuck, and
Absolutely.
they you know, they'll take it from you monthly, and then they can deny you like that, you know,
Right.
for something that you may need.
Exactly.
And I don't know, man. I was thinking yesterday. I was actually in urgent care yesterday. I just got a little cut on my finger. It's getting a little. Not healing right. It's getting a little
Right.
funky looking. So I'm like, well, let me just go have them look at it, you know, and
Right.
maybe get some antibiotics or something. But I was in and out in like 2 minutes, and I'm thinking, you could probably take a 4-hour course and become a goddamn urgent care doctor. I mean, it was just, it was so funny to me. I went in there, I sat down. He said the
Crazy, dude.
same thing I was saying before I even went
Sure.
there. I just don't have the power to write a prescription. I'm
Absolutely
like,
not,
Like this
dude.
dude
Right.
told me nothing. I mean, and not
Right.
that I expected him to, but it just reminds every time I go in one of them places, it's like this kid's probably fucking, 15, 20 years younger than I am.
Right.
I've probably seen more than him.
Right.
Because that's where most of your expertise comes from in life is experience.
Exactly.
And I'm like, he looks at my finger. He's like, "Oh yeah, you got an infection in a superficial cut that you had." And I'm thinking, "Yeah, I know that. I know what happened
Right.
to my own finger. What are we doing about it? And
Right.
and like I said, all he could really do is write a prescription. And I'm thinking, man, that must be an easy course to become an urgent care doctor.
I saw a meme the other day and it said, "Why the fuck do they call it urgent care? Because them motherfuckers aren't urgent, nor do they care."
Dude, I know they don't care, but I will say this dude was urgent. It was like, "What you got?" Well, I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna write you a script. Peace out." And I'm like, "All right, But I guess that's all I needed out the guy in his defense. But it was just so funny when I left. I'm thinking, man, I could do that. Like I can open up an urgent care and just be like, "Oh, your arm hurts. Let me check it out." Yeah,
Exactly, dude.
It's probably broke. You may want to go see an expert,
And look, for the cost, dude, on some of those, man, if you don't have insurance to these local urgent cares instead of a hospital, dude, you know what, man? $100, dude. Whatever I got to do, blah, 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 put a Band-Aid, I'm going to tell you, take this script here. I'm going to write you a script. Wow. But yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing, I really don't, But I think everybody should have like catastrophic care, cancer, heart attack, open heart surgery, you need a knee replacement. Dude, you pay so much a month for that, and you meet a deductible. It happens. But all this every day, I need blood work and go run to the doctor. $30 copay, but I'm spending $300 a month. It's all bullshit, dude. Doctors need to get on board, man. And
it's a fucking racket, man.
It's a big racket, dude. Really
what
is.
What do you
dude.
do? I mean, if you don't have it, and you come, like you said, you come down with something major, you're gonna wish you did have it. Because I've skated by for a few years as an adult of not having it, and luckily I didn't need it. But it was like you're paying basically a car note, if not more, a month for shit you don't ever use. If you're a healthy adult, barring any kind of accident, you don't really need it much.
No.
But when you do, you're gonna wish you had it. That's
absolutely. And as we get older, Shane, you got to have it, dude.
Hospitals just gonna have to chase me for their money.
The problem is all they're going to do is stabilize you. If you ever need treatment, you're fucked,
Right.
And that's the problem with that. But anyway, let's end it on this amazing topic that I've been seeing going around the fucking internet for the last 2 days.
Okay.
100 men versus a gorilla. Who's winning that? Now, have y'all seen this going around?
Yeah.
No.
Everybody's talking about it, like on X. I'm thinking, are y'all crazy? But it's like, I guess it's good that people are actually on some shit like this. That's just kind of a little fun topic instead of fighting and arguing with each other. So
you say that. Have you seen
they fighting
the
about
controversy? They fighting Mr. Beast. You ain't seen it?
Oh, he was talking about like setting it up and paying somebody.
Well, yeah, because somebody posted and said, could 100 ends take out one gorilla? Like, could they fight a gorilla? It was a black dude posting it. So, and Mr. Beast retweeted it and said, "Hey, should I set this up?" Well, they're like, "Mr. Beast just retweeted the N-word. Is he being hacked?"
He's
and
done.
Everybody's going off on
Right.
Twitter. And I'm like, are y'all fucking stupid?
But it was a black dude that originally
Yes.
posted it? Oh,
yes.
well, I mean, it's like sharing it.
Huge
It's like
controversy.
retweeting.
Controversy.
It's like reposting a rap song you like or something. It's like,
Right.
so what? I guess
They're just
anything
like,
to argue about.
how
So it
could
wasn't
he?
as clean of an argument as I was saying it was. I just thought it was
Everybody
a friendly discussion.
Everybody
Yeah.
else has been cool with it, but the
It's-
Mr. Beast
well-
thing, they were like, "How could he? Have you been hacked? Like something's going on with Mr. Beast." And I'm like,
Jesus.
"He just retweeted the fucking."
Well, it
tweet."
made me grin because as soon as I saw this topic, I was thinking, you just last week you were asking how many men would it take to fight a grizzly bear? And I'm like, I don't even think it's fucking possible. Then all of a sudden I see this shit break on the
Right.
internet.
I remember
I'm like,
that.
I'm like, that's right up our fucking alley. Like
Yeah.
we
Dude,
were
I'm
just
telling
basically talking about. But with that being said, though, I mean, people are really, they're back and forth discussing this shit. Me personally, I don't think 100 men are fucking with a gorilla that if they don't have weapons.
No. Well, it
think
depends
so
on what
either,
kind of
man.
men, dude. I mean, if
I
you got
just don't think you can. I just don't think you're wearing a gorilla out like you would
Yeah.
the
if it was two
endurance.
dudes versus like a really strong man, like you could kind of dance around and wear him out.
Right.
But I just don't think you're gonna wear a gorilla out.
No,
no matter
because
how
for
many men
one,
you got.
that gorilla's instinct, he will fight to the death. He'll die before he just quits,
absolutely, and they're like 10
Exactly.
times the strength of a man, dude.
Yeah. And they're fucking
Yeah.
massive when you look
And
at
they're
the
massive,
silverbacks.
dude. Yeah.
So I just don't. It's kind of like the same thing with the grizzly bear. Who's getting to this bastard first?
Not
Nobody.
me. No.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
I just
Not
don't
me.
see how it can even be accomplished.
That's a
Did
good
you
one,
see the
dude.
picture and it was the gorilla in the center with all the men surrounding it?
Yeah.
And somebody circled the dude right in front of the gorilla and said everybody's gonna have great stories about how he died first.
And that's gonna be the only.
Yeah, you're sitting around with 100 men. It's like, who's first? Who's going?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I did
who's
see
going
somebody did a AI simulation of it, and it looked about how it would go. I mean, every
I
guy
bet,
that
dude.
ran up, that gorilla was smacking the shit out of him, and
Ah,
one would
dude,
try to
I
come
bet.
up from behind, and it's like, you don't think that big ass monkey knows you're behind him? I mean,
Absolutely,
they
dude.
got instincts that. I mean,
Yes.
they're meant to survive in the wild, you know.
Yeah, dude.
So to me, there's no argument. I just don't see it happening without weapons in your hands. Same
I
as
don't
that
vote
damn
gorilla.
grizzly bear.
I gotta go
I'm going with
gorilla.
the gorilla.
Yeah,
I-
absolutely.
Well, I probably prefer the gorilla over most people anyway.
you think if you could jump on his back, you think you could choke a gorilla out?
I don't think so, dude.
No.
I
No.
really don't.
I mean, let's
dude.
put it this way. It depends on how you mean. Like, if he was to not resist at all, could you technically choke him?
Sure.
Like if you had like four buddies in front of him, like trying to punch him in his nipples and shit, you know, like, and you jumped on his back and
Titty
just, yeah, you know, so he's distracted.
Yeah.
You
Let me know
know?
when it goes down,
No.
Justin. I
Well, I
want to be
tell
there.
you what, we got a zoo about a half hour away from us.
Absolutely.
We'll go there when we're closed. We'll let you jump on a gorilla's back and
see
you
what
tell me
happens.
if you can choke him out. We'll distract him. I'll
right.
dance. You know. And
Yeah. Some
If
bananas or something, whatever we got to bring. Yeah,
They
dude.
do like bananas.
if Mr. Beast offers, you know, $1 million to, you know, the non-famous person, right, being, say you, right,
Right.
to go in and fight this gorilla, right, but all other 99 guys are going to be straight off the roster of the UFC,
Right.
all right, would you go in?
No.
You're in
No,
there
I
with,
ain't
with
doing
you
it,
know,
dude. No.
prime Chuck Liddells, and you're in there with,
Yeah.
with you know, just all the superstars.
Ain't happening, dude.
No?
Yeah, might break a hip or something, dude. Yeah, a knee or
Just don't
something.
know if there's a man powerful enough to,
I don't think so, bro.
you know. 'cause I
I'd
see
go
what you're
in, but I'm
saying,
starting
like-
in the back.
Well, yeah, I would definitely like be like, yeah, but yeah, guys, I got y'all, and I would hang out and watch it, and then I'd get the fuck out of there when it got.
You
close
think
to my
about like
turn.
an Andre the Giant, dude, as
Yeah.
big as he is, dude. Can you
Still
imagine?
ain't, still
Yeah.
ain't doing it.
He still ain't doing it, dude.
Still
No,
ain't doing it.
still
You
ain't
just don't
doing
have
it,
the
bro.
power, and
No.
and you know that gorilla's not going to feel pain like a human.
No.
I'm not saying they don't feel pain, but it's not the same. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You see them fighting with other silverbacks. You go fight a silverback. You know.
I guess a gorilla's whooping a chimpanzee, huh?
Oh yeah.
Because I seen what that chimpanzee did to that lady. So
Yeah, well, the chimps eat other monkeys and shit. You
Yeah.
know, but they not messing with a gorilla though. I mean,
Dude, if I got to fight a
gorillas
gorilla,
run,
dude, I'm going for his nuts, dude.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I guess that might. If you could get a lucky shot and it affects them like it does us,
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
they still have the nerve endings. And
You
everything.
think? I don't know. That's a good question, dude. For the
If I had to try something, that's what it would be. Kick
I'm
'em
going for
right
your
in the
nuts.
ball sack.
Yeah, dude, I'm going for your nuts, dude.
Because they
Yeah.
got big ones that hang.
Yeah.
So while you're distracting them, I'll run up behind them and kick them right in the nuts.
like a
try to
kickball,
kick a
dude.
field goal.
Oh, that's making me hurt.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. I'm sitting here twitching, dude. But yeah, I'm going for the nuts, dude. If I gotta try to
that's
fight
it.
one of those, dude. Yeah,
I changed
absolutely.
my mind then. If we can distract them and somebody kicks them in the ball sack, then yes, 100
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, it's the only way you're gonna maybe get them, dude.
Oh,
But yeah,
it's amazing that this was the biggest discussion going on X the last 2 days.
And
dude,
like,
wake up, people.
it is a like you would think that you'd want to go in there, but I don't know if you remember when we were four wheeling and whatnot, right? Remember, we were out there late that night. We hopped into that cow field, and all them fucking cows lined up, looking right
Yeah.
at us.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Nah, fuck that. Getting
No,
there.
yeah,
fuck
that was
dude.
cows.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
think all the cows
absolutely.
were doing were just wondering what the fuck we were doing.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
it looked freaky when all them cows got into a line and they were just staring at you.
They give me
It
a
was like
death
30
stare.
cows. It was like 30
Yeah.
of them. They were in like a straight line, like shoulder to shoulder, just looking right at us.
and
we were
nobody
like,
would
fuck that.
approach them. And they probably weren't going to do shit, you know. They
No.
were just looking at us like, what in the fuck are these people doing? But
Right.
they just looked so, it was just freaky looking with them big
Yeah.
ass beasts just staring at you. It was like, okay, I'm getting the hell
It's
out
like
of
they
here.
were all like minding their own business and shit, doing whatever. And then like we got in there and took a couple steps, and they just like piled on top of each other and lined up. And it was like, what the
I forgot
fuck
all
is
about
going
that till you said
on?
it. I don't even remember where we were. I just remember the cows. Like, God damn, yeah, this is a bad idea. Now, imagine if they got big ass teeth and everything like them gorillas, you know. And
Oh, dude.
So,
No. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking
Absolutely.
about because I'm like, I wouldn't even go touch one of them cows. I don't know if I would make it into the
I think
gorilla
that's what
pen,
we were
dude.
trying to do. To daring like somebody to go up and run and touch one of the cows, and nobody
Yeah.
would do it.
No,
Which, I mean,
ain't
I don't know
happening.
if a cow would hurt you, but they
But it,
I don't know. I'm 215 pounds. Yeah, dude. You messing with a what? 1,200 pounds? Nah,
Yeah.
I'm good, dude. Yeah, I'm okay, dude.
Y'all
Too
seen
much
them
in.
two? Speaking of creatures, y'all seen them two men they found dead in Oregon? They were looking for a Sasquatch and died in the
Oh,
wilderness.
really?
Yeah, they out. I was Sasquatch hunting.
yeah,
Justin's like, I wanted to go.
I did.
Yes.
I signed up for that trip,
The
dude.
two men in Oregon, they were missing for a while, and then they found them, and apparently they had succumbed to the elements, but they were out there Sasquatch hunting.
Could you imagine dying for a fucking Sasquatch?
A
hunt?
Sasquatch for something that don't exist. That's like I'm going to look for a unicorn. I mean,
Oh, they exist, pal.
I'm sorry. Well,
Rougarous,
something that's
yeah,
hard to
absolute
find. Let's put it
Bigfoot,
that
yeah.
way. And I'll
Yeah,
put
absolute.
it that way. But 60 people, let's see, the bodies of both men, 37 and 59, were found in the national forest. They had died. The cause of death appears to be because of exposure. I think the
Sasquatch
Sasquatch killed them.
wounds?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely,
Sasquatch
dude.
got them.
They got them, dude. Yep.
They were ill prepared for the weather. So you're going out looking for Sasquatches in a freezing ass cold.
Right.
And what do you bring?
Out there in
T-shirt?
shorts and a tank top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, looking for
Oh
Sasquatch, man. I hope I want my headline to be better than that when I go. I mean, damn,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you ain't lying, man.
out there hunting for a goddamn Bigfoot.
Did
Anyway.
you see the dude that got arrested in Iraq? I saw the headline today. It was an ISIS linked Iraqi guy got arrested in Iraq for being connected to the New Year's Eve terror attack in New Orleans.
No,
Oh, wow.
I didn't see that. They arrested somebody over there for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't doubt it. Like as
He
far
got
as him
arrested
being
in Iraq,
connected.
said that they were going to prosecute him.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I didn't see that. I did see. Speaking of arrest, didn't you tell me a while back that somebody got arrested for going on that restricted island?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
North
they
Centennial.
said he's still in custody, man. He went there with a Diet Coke, is what he brought over there. He left it, and they said he was on the beach for like 20 or 30 minutes, dude, blowing a whistle and shit, trying to get these people's attention, and nobody ever came.
Wow.
And I'm like, boy, do you have a death wish, huh?
I know, because they saw him. They was in the woods watching
and
the
I'm
whole
surprised
Yeah.
they didn't come out then, really. Because I was
Yeah.
wondering that maybe they were on the other side of the island. I don't know, but that was weird because they said he was out there making as much noise as he could, trying to offer these people a Diet Coke. And,
Stupid
I'm like,
fuck,
what?
dude.
Oh, and a coconut. So he had a Diet Coke and
There
a
you
coconut.
Really, dude.
Did it say what he was arrested for, like what the formal charges were?
It's going to be, let's see, an official. We take our commitment to, let's see, police conducted a detailed research to see conditions. What did they get him for? It was arrested him for, I don't know. On his return, he was spotted by a local fisherman who informed the authorities. He was arrested in
Fucking
Port
snitch.
Blair. Yeah, let's see. I guess just. It's illegal. An American missionary who landed illegally on the beach was killed. That was in 2018. Visitors are banned from traveling within 3 miles. The inhabitants, it just says that that the North Centennial Island, whose population has been isolated for the rest of the world for thousands of years, that you cannot come within 3 miles of it.
Wow.
And I guess they just set that law because of how dangerous it is for everybody involved, So I don't know what
Yeah.
they get them for. I mean, trespassing? I mean, what are they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, but it's like I have no clue. You seen them where they'll like
Probably
shoot arrows at
disease too,
helicopters
man.
and
You know,
shit?
they ain't no telling.
Yeah.
dude.
That's why they made it illegal. They said you'll kill the whole population.
Oh, yeah,
for the
because it is a
diseases you
fucked up
bring,
thing to
but
do. I mean, this asshole's over there with a Diet Coke and a fucking coconut, and he may
Right.
have
People are just living life.
yeah,
COVID.
there's no-
He could have
Yeah,
COVID,
anything
dude.
that he's bringing up. So to me, it's a very selfish act, honestly, to do to these people that their bodies aren't
No.
equipped for that shit. So it is wrong on his part, but I don't know exactly what they charge you with. I just know a violation of
Trespassing.
Indian
Yeah.
laws.
Especially because we've been trying to go there for, I mean, probably 40, 50 years. We've been trying to contact these people, and every time we do, they show us that they don't give
They
a
don't
fuck
want
and they
your
don't
ass
want to be
there.
contacted. So it's like, okay, like if the first time you're trying to be a good person and be like, hey, there's like more than just, trees to sleep in the world, and okay. But then after
Yeah.
they're like, we don't give a shit. We will fucking eat you, then it's like, all right,
Yeah.
well, leave them alone.
Yeah,
Leave it alone.
they said it could carry up to 5 years.
Damn.
Man, that's
Um,
crazy.
Stupid shit.
Saw a new law that is passing in Virginia, which I can see probably spreading across the U.S. So they're implementing what's called an ISA. It's an intelligent speed assistance device, right? So it'll be used by the courts as an alternative to suspending your license if you get convicted of reckless driving, right? So it's a device that will go in your car, kind of like a breathalyzer, and it monitors where you're at via GPS and cameras, and it can limit your speed to 10 miles an hour over the posted speed limit of wherever you're driving at.
Wow.
So it allows people that have been convicted of reckless driving to still drive and be able to get to work and back, but
kind of like the thing you blow in if you've been
Exactly.
a DWI. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. So it's just a limiter that they're putting on,
Cars. Yeah.
it'll be a device in there and it'll track you. So, it'll know if you're on a 55-mile road or a 70, 75 mile an hour road, and it'll limit you to 10 miles an hour over the posted speed limit.
Well, I mean, I guess that's good. I mean, you're
And they
still
said
out
it
there.
can be used for the reckless driving, and it's kind of in talks to be implemented in the future to teen drivers under a certain age.
I got you. Yeah.
It
Okay,
may
yeah,
be
that should be an
required from
option for
16 to
every-
18.
Yeah, that should be an option at least for a parent, with a
Right.
kid that's starting to drive,
Right.
Make it to where they can't do fucking 97 on the interstate, That
Yep.
would make a lot of sense, but
They need to take Dodge's stance, like with the Hellcats, how you get a black key and a red key. So if
one
you're
of
letting your
them's
kids drive it, the black key will give it like 300 horsepower, and the red key
Right.
unlocks the whole car. But you could do that for every car and be like, here, this Hyundai Sonata, you've got the normal key that will let you do whatever the normal car will do versus, the kid key will let it go up to 80 miles an hour or whatever, no matter what,
surprised they don't offer something like that more.
Yeah.
Just as a selling, to
Right.
parents. They
Right.
say, hey, buy this, and you can install it or whatever on your car or whatever, or even a car that does it, I don't know.
Yeah.
Surprised they don't have something like that that'll govern it. That
coming.
way you're a little more, controlled.
Yeah, I
At
know-
least- and leave it to the parent. Not saying that,
Yeah.
the government needs to control it, but if the parent wants to, the kid's borrowing the car and he's 17 years old or 16, it's like
Exactly.
it can't go any faster than I guess you'd have to give them interstate speed, which they could still fuck somebody up on a city street, I guess.
Sure.
But,
Yeah.
they got to limit
And,
it somewhere, I suppose.
I don't know how much this device that Virginia's working on costs, but it may be cost efficient enough to go in every car where it'll GPS track you. And if you're in a neighborhood with a 25 mile an hour posted speed limit, you can
True.
only go 35 max.
Hell
And
yeah.
I know there had been talks in the past of cars that would use kind of facial recognition
I'll
to
be right
tell who
back.
the driver was of the car. So when
Right.
you get in it, like
I didn't
say
know.
your truck would know it's you and let you do whatever.
Oh, I
you
believe
know?
that's probably going to be fucking in damn near every vehicle soon. I mean, with
Yeah.
all these electrics and everything that Elon's making, I'm surprised that's not in them Teslas already.
Yeah.
Where it knows who's in it.
Right.
And you can program it that when this face is driving, I don't want this car to do over this or whatever.
Exactly. You know?
Yeah, that would be a cool
Yeah,
little
because-
safety feature.
Now that you've mentioned Elon, like a Tesla, when it's in self-driving, it knows the speed limit of the road.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
why
So it ought
couldn't
to
you
be
have
able to-
every car that's just like it knows the speed limit of the road you're on?
Yeah, and that's the mode it stays in, depending on who's driving it.
Yeah.
It will not go over those speed limits. Now, some people say that's a safety hazard. As far as sometimes
But-
you got to get the fuck out the way of things.
Well, I think that's
know.
why they set the limit. I think it's a starting limit of 10 miles over.
I got you.
So
So
it's
you
like
could still boom, get if you
yeah,
have to.
so it's
Yeah.
like if traffic is moving on the interstate at 85, you don't want to be doing 70,
Yeah.
65 miles an hour because that's a hazard. You know what I
That's
mean?
a
Even
hazard,
though
yeah.
everybody's over the posted speed limit, it's a
Gotcha.
hazard. You're impeding traffic. So they let you go faster because they know like there's situations where you
Sure.
do have to go a little faster.
Sure.
But You know, so maybe it's like in the future, maybe that needs to be increased to 15 miles an hour over.
We're all
going
going to be in the back seats of these cars anyway in the future.
Absolutely.
We're all going to be driving. Like, it's going to be chauffeured by these damn electric cars. You watch. Eventually it's going to come to the point we don't even have to drive them. We just get in them, and whatever destination we're going to, it's going to bring you.
Well,
And it might even be safer that way.
I'm going to be in the
you've
woods,
seen the
dude.
taxis that you can hop in the back of and they don't have a driver, right?
That's what I'm saying.
you
So why everyone's going to be like that eventually?
Yeah. Did you see the one that got pulled over?
No.
The cops pulled it over for, I don't know what it was, like no turn signal or running a stop sign or some shit. So, and it was a huge thing. Like, they had to wind up calling the owner of the car, and they're like,
so this car
what do we do here?
But it did do something wrong then.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not foolproof yet.
Yep.
I mean, but I still think it in the long run, if it keeps going like it's going, it'll probably be safer on the streets. You know.
Sure.
I think so.
I mean, especially
think
the
the
way
more-
that Elon develops these things, man. It knows when there's people walking on the side of the road, and I mean,
And you think
everything.
the more self-driving cars you have on the road, the more they
course.
can talk to each other.
Of
So, I
course,
mean,
they
you
they
think
all
in
know where the
theory-
other one's at.
Yeah, in
know?
theory, you
Yep.
could have, self-driving cars bumper to bumper with each other doing as fast as they want to do because
Fast
they
as they
know
want.
what each other's doing and they can
That's true.
all stop at the same time. There is no
Yeah.
human reaction in the
I was
chain.
gonna say you take
Right.
the human element out of it, and there's a lot, less mistakes.
Absolutely.
Not that there won't be any, but there's going to be a lot less. With
Absolutely.
AI, and
Yeah.
it's, like I said, it's coming. So like it or not, I mean, it's going to be a part of life. You
Yep.
see that now, just the more and more the robots that are getting in the workplace, and eventually are going to be all over our damn streets driving. So
I think the mistakes that do happen if, say a city was 90% autonomous with the cars, right? I think the mistakes that did happen would be a lot less deadly than the mistakes that happen when humans are driving.
sure.
I can
know.
see it. Yeah,
Then you couldn't
absolutely.
run from the law, dude.
You
Nobody
couldn't
can
run
run from
No.
the cops anymore.
No.
And I don't think an autonomous car is gonna, do 120 on the wrong lane of the interstate,
No.
Nope.
So you kind
It's not gonna
of
happen.
get that element out. They're not going to be out there recklessly driving, just weaving in and out of traffic and shit. They're all just going to drive, So
No, but it's also, man, you talk about, it's a recipe for disaster when it comes to cyber attacks too.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Some
Oh,
terrorist,
yeah.
Can
they
you
decide-
imagine?
Yeah, they hack into the systems
Yeah.
of all the cars driving in a major city and just cause fucking havoc.
I mean, even like Spain and Portugal right now, their whole power grid's down and the
saw
whole
that.
fucking thing
Yeah.
is shut down because all
What
their
happened, though?
trains are electric. Everything is electric out there.
How'd the power? It just went. It just overloaded.
They're still trying to figure it out, but apparently, I believe it was Spain. They put out an article that by June, what are we in? April? I think it was April 13th. By April 13th, they were going to basically start their finalization of renewable energy for the whole city, right? So they were using only renewable energy sources, wind, solar, and
It
here
didn't
we
work
are,
out for them.
about 20 days later, and now all their power grid's down. So
Damn.
I don't know if it's connected. That's kind of what
Right.
one of the headlines were implying is that, hey, they just posted this. Now, half of France, Spain, and Portugal's whole power system is down.
I wouldn't doubt
Complete
it.
blackout. And they said to be prepared for basically 2 weeks of zero power for the whole city.
Ooh, man.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
countries,
We've
what are
seen
they?
that.
I don't know.
I mean, we've
Yeah.
all lived through that, and we know it's straight chaos. And now,
No, it's
now you're
multiple
talking about in a,
country.
you're talking about a whole country, man, a third world fucking country too.
Yeah.
Damn.
And like I said, their trains over there are all electric. All their public transport's
Sure.
electric. I mean, everything is shut down over there.
Think of the
the
banking
problem.
system, dude. Everything, dude.
Everything.
Yeah.
No
Everything.
that
internet.
is the
there's
major
no-
downfall to relying on everything being, just electric, basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you
So,
were at
and
the
I thought of that
mercy
because
it.
we were talking about the, autonomous cars and whatnot, which presumably would probably be electric as well.
Yeah.
So
Right.
any electric cars over there are not being charged right now. I assume the gas pumps aren't working because they're
Right.
electric. You know,
Right.
so nobody can get gas. It's shut down.
Golly, man. Well, I mean, If they had it their way, that's how this country would be. Just running off of these electric grids that can't handle it. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine that's what happened over there. It just became overloaded. I mean, I
Right.
don't know. I haven't read
Yeah,
up
I
on it
don't.
enough.
They haven't really said anything yet of what happened. Like they haven't. I guess they're working on fixing it first. I don't know, but
Yeah.
whole power grid's fucking donezo. And then what is it? Iraq's port exploded or some shit too.
It's all kind of ruckus going on.
Dude,
There we go.
is. And who is it? It's fuck. There's a new war popping off. Lebanon maybe, and it's a new
Who?
war. They about to go at it.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't know. I can't keep up with the fuck's going on over here. So.
yep. No, I'm in the same boat with you.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up. It's getting late. I'm sure anybody watching us tired of hearing us talk anyway. So let's get off. I'm tired of hearing us talk. So
It's all good. It's been fun, guys. Loved it.
yeah. Oh
You know.
wait. Somebody wants to know where the cheaper groceries go. Somebody
A
in
golf
the comments.
Whitler.
Yeah, we lost 6 months. Man, I just saw this too, and I don't feel like getting into all that now. It's late. I wish I'd have seen it.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right. Well, y'all have a good night. Y'all know who we are,
Absolutely.
BSing with the guys. We will be back next
Like and
Tuesday.
subscribe, man. We need
Yeah.
it. Let's do it.
Please send
Thank
money.
y'all.
Send money. I have bills.
Send money. Yeah, absolutely, dude.
Buy BSing with the
My
guys
hands.
coin.
Yeah,
Please.
later, y'all.
Later.
Later.